Kwebbelkop is our guest today.
6.8 billion views.
That's a lot. In life, no one is gonna come and save you. There are no superheroes in life, but there is one, and that's you.
Jordi, also known as Kwebbelkop.
That's me.
And I'm curious what the date, the 27th of August 2012, means to you.
That's the date that I started uploading YouTube videos every single day, and I maintained that for almost 10 years. I'm literally telling you, what is it that made me successful?
Yeah.
It is this insane belief that you are the main character of your life, which you are. Money can't save every problem. I had a lot of money back then. I couldn't save my dad. Even though I tried with the best doctors and flying him out wherever he had to go. It wouldn't work. So inevitably, we're all gonna die. And that realization was very tough.
Would you say you had a quarter-life crisis?
100%. Yes, I had a quarter-life crisis for sure.
What did it look like?
What did it look like? Depression and a burnout. I had everything you could imagine, from money to friends to a beautiful girlfriend to fame, you name it, and I was unhappy.
Hello friends, just quickly before we get started with today's show. The way these algorithms work is that the more people that listen to the show, the more people it gets promoted to. So as a result, I would love it if you would smash the subscribe or the follow button wherever you're listening or watching this, so that I can help as many people as possible solve their quarter-life crisis. And with that being said, thanks so much, and let's get on with today's show.
Jordi, also known as Kwebbelkop.
That's me.
I like to start all my podcasts with the same question because usually it sets the narrative for the rest of the conversation. That question is, are you happy?
Yes, very happy.
What, in your opinion, is required to live a happy life?
I think there's a few things that are important in a few aspects of life. So let's just walk through it. So I think the first thing that's very important is your physical health. You can have a toothache and everything could be perfect in your life, but right, the saying is all you're thinking about is that toothache. So being healthy physically and feeling good in your body, feeling good with your body. That's one part. Another part's mental health. So you have your body, your physical self, but then you also have your mental self to be in a good place there. To have a good outlook on life, to have a good perspective on life, to be positive, to be optimistic about life. I think that's a very important one. Then a financial situation, financial burden can certainly be something that takes away your happiness. Your purpose fulfillment is also one that's very important for me. And this can be in a way, for example, for me, it's very much with what I do every day, which is content creation and producing entertainment and making the world a happier place. I do that in my job, but it's also my hobby very much so. Yeah. And then social connections, friends and family. So to make sure you have friends, to communicate with these friends, and to have family. Yeah. So for me, that's my girlfriend, my dogs, my mom, my sister. My
just
girlfriend's side.
Yeah, you very cute.
Thank you. And I think I might be missing something there, but that's very much what's required for me to be happy. Okay. And having a good balance there.
Do you believe we should chase happiness?
Should we chase happiness? No. I think happiness isn't within the real world. Happiness is found within yourself. An example is that, we could be living the exact same physical life. We could be doing the exact same thing. But you could be super happy and I could hate it. I could be very unhappy. And I'm a very big believer in that happiness is not found in the real world, but it's found in the way that you perceive the real world. So if you can be grateful for everything that occurs to you in life, that's when you're really happy, which means it's very much in the translation from real to mental.
Right. That's an interesting sort of clarification. Hadn't heard that one before, but it makes a lot of sense, especially when comparing yourself to someone else.
Exactly. It's I got it from a book by Viktor E. Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, and it's in the same direction. Like it's about reframing life, and also in cognitive behavioral therapy, you're really training your thoughts to have a more helpful outlook on life, and that very much studying all of this very much made me believe that happiness, to a certain degree, right?
Of course,
is mainly made up out of the translation and the interpretation of what's happening in the real world.
Yeah, that is also at least how I perceive it. It sounds very similar. Did you read the book by Mo Gadat, Solve for Happy? He's quoted to be the happiness expert, and he indeed breaks it down to that exact same thing. That he's like, it's basically just your perception of events versus what it actually turns out to be.
And that all occurs in your brain. That those are thoughts, and you can train your thoughts, so you can literally train yourself to be happy. Exactly. But obviously, if you have a massive financial burden or a physical a problem, then it can be much harder. It's still possible to be happy, but it can definitely be much harder.
Yeah, fair. For this podcast, I have a guiding research hypothesis. So essentially, I'm using these interviews that I have as research for a book that I intend to write.
Very cool.
And for that, thank you, I have a research hypothesis that goes passion equals purpose. What are your thoughts on that hypothesis?
Agreed. 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
Why? Because for me, my passion, I found my purpose within my passion. And I realized that when I was looking for my purpose, my passion and my purpose were identical. My purpose in life very much is to make the world a happier place. And I do that through entertaining people. And that's why I love my job so much, because I'm constantly entertaining the world. I'm entertaining people one-on-one. I'm doing a podcast, which in my eyes is also entertainment. So everything that follows that is my purpose, but it's also my passion at the same time. Yeah. And also the people who I know who don't have a passion often don't have a purpose, or who don't have a purpose also don't have a passion. But the ones that do, they're also perfectly in sync there. So I can definitely agree, and I can find myself in that hypothesis for sure.
Yeah, because I have had a few guests that said no, but usually, and that's sort of what I'm
How come?
Yeah, so usually what I'm trying to figure out, in my own understanding, I think they mistake passion for enjoyment, because the example they often give is usually something along the lines, I'm very passionate about playing football.
Yeah.
Right? Where I'm like, are you passionate about that, or do you just really enjoy doing that? Does that bring you excitement? And whether or not there's sort of a distinction between those two. So as in that sense, what you say about these alignment, and also what I personally experience, hence why I ask more about it, that's also my understanding when it comes to passion.
Yeah.
Then let's go a bit further on your passion. How would you describe your passion?
How would I describe my passion? I think from a young age, I really found myself getting a lot of fulfillment from entertaining people, making people laugh, making people enjoy their day just a little bit better, right? So I was always the guy that made the jokes, that got everyone laughing. Sometimes they didn't laugh, and that's fine. The more jokes you make, the more that don't work.
Exactly.
So I really found myself enjoying that a lot, and that's when I stumbled upon YouTube years ago, where I really found that I had the platform to entertain the masses. And the more people that I entertain, the more people that I can lift up in joy in life slightly, the bigger the impact. My real purpose really is to make everyone, like, it's super extreme. That's why I often don't say it, but it's to make everyone who has ever lived and whoever will live as happy as they could possibly be, right? Obviously impossible, but it's still something that I love striving for. And, you know, like if I die, I just want to see that meter, like, okay, Jordi, how much happiness have you contributed to this human suffering here on this planet? And if it's even above 1, then I'm already happy. So
before we dive
explains
then
it a bit
further into that, where do you think in your experience that comes from? Like, what was your sort of childhood like growing up before YouTube?
It definitely comes from my childhood. It's some way of a coping mechanism. For me, my I had a rough childhood, abusive childhood, and I feel like for me, I very much realized too, like how important it is to, you know, to be happy in life, to be safe in life, and that, you know, like taking care of my sister too, but also having to take care of my mom. Those are all the, you know, the common things that are required for someone to find, to get some, like a purpose like this. It very much fits my personality, which is, I mean, the way I was raised, obviously.
Yeah, because I indeed heard that your dad left at 13, I believe.
Yeah, correct.
I resonated with that because my mom, at least, has been out the picture since I was 18, which is maybe a little older
so
still.
I have daddy issues, you have mommy issues.
Exactly, and it makes me curious to see, you know, how that shapes us. Because one thing that I'm intrigued about as well is the question of how much fate plays a role.
Yeah.
Right. And in this sense, if you know, these circumstances, probably I might assume that at home you were there to make sure that your mom was a bit happier, make sure that your sister was a bit happier.
Correct.
And then you're like, hey, this feeling is triggering something. Let's, you know, see what else I can do and how more. And then to sort of realize that if that hadn't happened, maybe you wouldn't be where you are now to some extent.
Exactly. So the role that I took upon myself at a very young age was the one of an adult, which meant that I had to take care of my sister and my mom, because my dad wasn't there and the family wasn't functioning properly, which meant that I had to put my own feelings aside and really focus on making the other ones, you know, the other people in the family happier and better, right? Same thing goes for, you know, my mom would occasionally get mad at me, and then I would do whatever it takes to make her feel better, even though that would be a problem on my own happiness. And you know, that shapes a person, and that created me.
Yeah.
So later on in life, did I find a lot of enjoyment in that? Most likely because it very much makes me feel at home, comfortable. It makes me feel satisfied. It reminds me of my childhood, the nostalgic feel, and all of that all together makes it feel good, right? So,
do you ever struggle then with like people pleasing in that scenario?
I used to 100%. No, I've gone to therapy
because I struggle with that right now. And I'm very curious, like how you sort of what you do now differently then that it happens less.
Yeah, so cognitive behavioral therapy helped me out a lot there. Went to a bunch of therapy, read a bunch of books on it, and practiced a lot. So the first thing for me to, which I had to realize, was that back in my childhood, if I wasn't pleasing, for example, my mom or my stepdad, if I didn't do what they wanted me to do, that I wouldn't be safe at the time. Let's just say that, all right? Which could mean I would be hit or kicked or something would be thrown at me. So what's the coping mechanism that I built? The coping mechanism that I built was that I had to protect myself. And how do I do that? By pleasing the abuser, okay?
Yeah.
Which, you know, helped at the time. It was a surviving mechanism. However, years later, you start realizing, for example, in my relationship and with friends and this and that I was still afraid of conflict, because at the time, I would immediately default back to my youth, and I would default back to that, and my mind would say, okay, if you don't satisfy this person and please this person, you will be faced with abuse. You're not in a safe environment, because that's what the kid me would think, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So first thing was realizing that and catching myself do that. And then later on, it was realizing that, first of all, no one's going to leave you if you set boundaries and tell them, hey, sorry, I ain't doing this. That's the first thing. The second thing is realizing you're safe. Like, nothing's going to happen to you. I'm a grown adult. I'm big. I'm strong. I can defend myself. I can stand up for myself, and really starting to believe in yourself. Like that might potentially come hand in hand with an anxiety disorder, which you've kept from those traumas, which I had to tackle too. And eventually now I'm at a point where if someone asks me to do something where I would usually back in the day please them, for example, someone would say, hey, Jordi, can I borrow your car tonight? I really need it for a move, and you're the only one that can help me out. But I have to go somewhere too.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I would say, don't worry. Take the keys. I'll take an Uber. I would sacrifice my own happiness in a way. I would have to, it's inconvenience for me. On top of that, I have to pay extra money because my car is much cheaper than an Uber. And I would do this simply to please the person. Nowadays, I would say, I'm sorry, I can't borrow you the car because I need to go somewhere myself, and I suggest you just grab an Uber. Oh, no. And even if the person gets mad, I'm sorry, but I'm picking me over anyone else first. So it's very much becoming selfish and realizing that it's okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
Because for me, the anxiety very much told me, you're being too selfish. It's normal. You're normal selfish. It's not selfish in a way that you're leaving your girlfriend behind because, you want to be home 2 minutes earlier. That would be selfish.
Yeah.
Just wait 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It is picking yourself over anyone else first, just like in the airport or in the airplane. When the plane goes down and the oxygen masks come, first put on your own masks before you help someone else. Yeah. And that analogy really helped me. And it's a lot of practice. It's not easy. It's like going to the gym. Yeah.
Like how long do you think it's taken you to get to the stage now?
Yeah,
like guessing.
So starting cognitive behavioral therapy took me about 6 months to a year. But after 3 months, did I start seeing noticeable improvements.
Okay.
But yeah, after a year, I would say my even though my life hadn't changed much, the quality, my happiness levels had gone from a 3 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 on average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's dive a little bit deeper into that passion.
Let's go.
And I'm curious what the date, the 27th of August, 2012 means to you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful date. That's the date that I started uploading YouTube videos every single day, and I maintained that for almost 10 years. To me, that was the moment where I said, to become successful, you need to have dedication. And if you just work on something every single day, there's no way you're telling me that after 10 years you're not going to be good at it. And that was the day that I started.
Yeah, and then 14 million subscribers later, I was reading a tweet also by you, and I quote you on it. During my 10 years, I've gone through everything from parents passing to burnouts. I've been through it all, and yet I've never missed a day.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's wild, man.
That's crazy, right? Yeah.
Like what? Why? Maybe is the better question. Why? Yeah, just why?
For me, my work very much was an escape from the world. So I use it as a coping mechanism, addicted to it. But it also helped me achieve what I've achieved.
Of course.
Only later on in life did I realize that, delegating tasks is certainly a possibility. And I started getting much better at it. But it also is a little, word of inspiration for everyone who reads it. In a way that, listen, if I could do all of this, there's no way you're telling me you can't go to the gym in the morning.
Because as you mentioned in the tweet, you then suffer with burnout.
Yeah.
Sort of what, I mean, it seems kind of obvious, 2 videos per day for 10 years. But like, what was the main cause for you feeling burned out? And especially, how did you manage to continue working through that, even when you consider yourself to be burned out?
Yeah. For me, I got the burnout because I didn't have a good enough understanding of mental health and how to take care of yourself properly. I would say in a sense underdeveloped, in a sense traumatized from my youth, and simply not educated on it ever in my life. Also, I'm 27, so growing up, I'm in that generation, the lost generation, where they didn't teach you that anything about it in school. So it was, hey, are you gay? Go and figure it out yourself. Do you not feel right in your body? Go and figure it out yourself. Oh, you're not happy? You're being abused at home? You don't know why you feel shit? Go and figure it out yourself. So that was like the generation that I grew up in. The generation after me very much had that support network in schools, on the internet and everything. So I feel like I had some catching up to do, and that left me with, unintended wounds. And rather than saying, like, I would just do what felt good, and for me that was work. So I would have all these piled up emotions, unprocessed, and I would rather than face it and challenge it and work on it, I would think, oh no, what feels good? Work. Let's work. So that eventually caught up to me, and that's when I was faced with the burnout, and I didn't know how to burn out. I didn't realize, and I just said, okay, well, what's the best thing that I can do? It's to really start taking care of myself. And it started physically, and then I said, let's go to a therapist, and I started taking care of myself mentally and educating myself there. And now in hindsight, I can look back on it and very much reflect on it and understand the challenges that I was faced at the time. And I'm glad I handled it the way that I did, because it could have gone a lot worse.
Of course,
But yeah, you asked why keep going? Yeah, why keep going? Because it's my passion and it's my purpose. And I was confused. I was very much confused how it's possible that the thing that I live for and the thing that I love still made me feel very shit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, we can't really compare, right? What you do is in a whole other like area, but I have had that feeling sometimes when doing this podcast that even though I believe in this 100%, there's days where you're like, really can't be bothered today.
So let me tell you, how did I keep on going?
No.
That's the point where people quit.
Yeah, right.
That moment, I've had it too.
Yeah.
I've had it way more times than you have.
Of course, yeah.
But every time I was faced with that, I said, okay, this is a hurdle that I will jump over because 80% of the people are not going to jump over it. Exactly. Which means that if I just keep on pushing whenever I'm faced with these roadblocks and these hurdles and I jump over it, eventually you're going to make it. And it is like if you hit the gym, or let's say you're running, right? You're going for a nice little run. If you're at a kilometer and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm starting to feel tired. Okay. A lot of people then say, you know what, maybe you should go back home, because a voice in their head goes, oh, you've ran enough. That's where you push through, because 80% of people quit. So you push through. But a kilometer later, your stomach starts hurting or whatever that is. Yeah. That's when a lot of people say, oh, their voice in their head says, you know what, maybe you should quit. Maybe I should. No, you keep going, because 80% of the people will quit. And it's just a numbers game. And if you just keep on pushing through, eventually you're going to get there. And that was my whole philosophy of let's do it every single day, no matter the circumstances, no matter what.
Where does that philosophy come from? Because having an absent father figure in that sense, that kind of taught you, like, was your mother in that, or where did that? Because this is not inherently in people, right? Like you say, 80% give up. That's there for a reason.
Yeah.
So
it came from I have a very vivid memory of it. At one point in life, I was at home. My father wasn't in the picture anymore, and I was kind of for a very long time hoping that someone would return and say, Jordi, let me help you guys out and let me fix things for you. Let me take care of this. And, I was raised in a pretty poor family, so let's take care of you guys financially. And I was hoping to win that lottery, right? And it never came.
No.
So I came to the conclusion that in life, no one is going to come and save you. There are no superheroes in life, but there is one, and that's you. Which means that if you want to escape the rat race, if you want to make your life happy, if you want to make your dreams become a reality, if you want to make a lot of money, if you want to start a good family, if you want to look healthy, no one's going to do it for you but yourself. And I needed a rule. I needed something that said, or I needed a few rules, and these were my rules. And I said, okay, well, if I'd have to do the calculations and if I'd have to make a formula for it, this is it. And if you stick by it for the rest of your life, I can guarantee you that you will become successful. Like guaranteed success. I can't tell you when, but I can guarantee you that it will happen. But if you quit, you're not going to make it.
If you're anything like me, you may have spent months, to some cases years, trying to figure out what your passion is. You've eventually figured it out and are contemplating making the jump. In doing so, one of the first things you are faced with when building a new business or even being a creator is finances. Now, the select few love this part. I personally do not. So luckily, I'm very proud to announce today that I have a sponsor who is able to fix this problem for you. For the sharp listeners, you may know them from episode 30, Edwin from Moneybird. They decided to sponsor this podcast today. Now, I know that when I started with my business 4 years ago, I was super overwhelmed by all the things I had to do, from sending invoices to doing my taxes. It was all a lot and all very confusing and almost made me stop. Moneybird aims to automate the financial processes, such as sending invoices, such as sending reminders for invoices, such as giving you exactly how you need to fill in your tax overview. So if you're a starting entrepreneur or creator in the Netherlands, I'd absolutely recommend using Moneybird. I'll add the link to their website in the description down below. And with that being said, let's get back into today's show.
Do you still consider success all in the numbers?
For a lot of people, it is in the numbers. For me, it's much more in the journey. Yeah,
Right.
Because at one point I was faced with a harsh reality that, you've hit those numbers.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you then not successful anymore? Or are you only successful if you keep on hitting numbers after a long period of time? I realized that's not what it's about. It's about the journey towards whatever number you have. And my number is infinitely big and infinitely hard to get, which means that I am successful whenever I'm striving towards achieving this dream that's impossible to achieve. And that's where my purpose and my passion and everything flows in.
You obviously started your YouTube channel primarily focused on gaming, and I think to some extent still is. It's taken a bit of a detour into other topics, but you built it on gaming. Now, I remember especially my mom when I was growing up was always like, don't game too much, you'll get square eyes and all this stuff, and it's bad for your brain and all these things. What is your philosophy behind gaming, and especially that part? Because, built something huge on the basis of it.
So let me just say, my mom said the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And now she's been working for me for 8 years.
Right.
So she went from laughing at me to laughing with me. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
My philosophy on it is, first of all, embrace new technology, embrace change. Right now, there's a big AI revolution occurring. Rather than being scared of it, start using it and start thinking, how can we use it wisely? And the same thing goes for video games, right? Who says that your parents have a better understanding of video games and the consequences of video games on a person than you yourself, right? As long as it doesn't become problematic, as long as it doesn't become an addiction, I think it's totally fine to play video games. I think there's plenty of career paths that can lead from video games, such as becoming an influencer, such as becoming an esports player, becoming a game designer / developer. and play to earn games, you name it. There's so many different things you can do, and it can just be a fun way to live your life.
Yeah.
So the better question the parents can ask is, why is my, if your kid is addicted to playing video games, why is he seeking for that escape from reality rather than let's take away his coping mechanism? It's like someone with an addiction who's very much addicted to it. Yeah, you can take away the addiction, but they're going to find a different addiction.
Exactly.
As far as my basic understanding of this topic is, right? So rather than solving the symptom of this mental disease, or whatever you call it, start tackling the root cause of it.
Yeah.
And often that's too confronting for parents, because it means that their parenting might have not been good, but it could also mean that they have to face the reality that their child might not be perfect and might need some more assistance from a professional.
The topic you touch on there, I've also spoken about a few times now in regards to an often reoccurring limiting situation that stops people from chasing their dreams. And I refer my own to entrepreneurship, right? That people take advice from their parents, and in my case, both my parents and my grandparents in particular, they're like, get a stable job and sort of safe in that sense, because that's what they knew. Right, that is what they grew up with. That is what worked for them. There's no risk in that sense. But it, to some extent, is terrible advice. If in my case, I feel super entrepreneurial, feel super have these motivations to challenge this topic, that doesn't work, right? So I think, in general, you sort of support that idea that parents should better listen to what their kids might need as opposed to what worked for them and try and reflect that. But it also relates to the educational
I agree.
System.
Yeah.
What is your opinion of let's just take Dutch education system, because that's the only one we know.
Obviously, I think education is necessary in society. I think in the Netherlands, we have a wonderful education system, but it's nowhere near perfect. One example from my years at school was that I didn't learn anything about mental health, which I think should be the number one thing they teach you at school, next to physical health. This is what we should be teaching our kids, not how to get a job. We should be teaching kids how to be happy, how to feel healthy, how to live a healthy life. I was never taught anything about nutrition, well, besides calories.
And this stupid circle with
which doesn't even make sense. It's not even correct, right? I didn't learn a single thing about mental health. Zero. They didn't teach you anything outside of the job scope that schools prepare you for.
Yeah.
So I would ask, what's the job that I could make the most money with? And they would say, a doctor. And no one said you can become an entrepreneur and make and own a clinic which has doctors.
For example.
You know what I mean? And no one said that. And no one taught me those things. I also think that now education systems aren't prepared for the innovation that's going to occur within the next few years, especially because of artificial intelligence and the large language models. I think we need to reinvent the entire education system, rethink the entire education system, and really ask ourselves, what do we want to teach people? What do we want to teach our kids? I think it should be a combination of passion, purpose, mental health, which are all in the same area, right? And also physical health. Communication, friendships, and really trying to figure out how can we make everyone's life as healthy and as fun as possible for as long as possible. That's what we should be teaching the kids, plus problem solving, because that's what we do in every course, right? No one's going to ask you, in what year was this person born?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you do need to know, what do? You Google it, right? Soon you chat GPT it, whatever. But you don't. Rarely does it matter to use, hey, I have this memory of when this happened. So that to me is like a redundancy in our education system. And I'd much rather have our kids be taught something way more important in that situation, because there's only so many things that you can teach in, let's say, 10 plus years. Why not make sure that those 10 years actually are used efficiently and effectively?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my thoughts on the education system.
Going back to the passion topic, do you think there's downsides to chasing your passion?
The only downside that I can think of is that once you start chasing your passion, you realize that nothing else matters but your passion. The downside is that that there's only upsides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It is a life change. You change your life. I think it's much worse to be dying and in your last words, remember the opportunities, the passion that you didn't chase. I think that's the absolute worst feeling in the world, to think I had this opportunity and I didn't go for it and regret it. So chase your passion, chase your dreams, be ready to tackle the challenges that pop up, have proper risk management, and don't do stupid stuff. Don't gamble. Don't take on insane debt, and not be prepared to deal with the consequences. If your passion is doing extreme sports, obviously be aware of the risks. But yeah, the only downside of chasing your passion is that your life's going to be too much fun.
Well, sounds positive, Red. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
One or a couple times people have given me as a reaction to that particular question on the downside of passion is that sometimes relationships go as a cost. And I've also been or have been asked questions about, in general, when you're so hyper focused on something that almost all the things around you kind of forget it, that how do you maintain stable relationship in that?
Yeah, lovely question. I think it's important to have a very clear communication with your partner. So for instance, I've shared with my partner, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what affords our lifestyle, and this is who I've always been. And this is the person you fell in love with. And I'm not going to change because you, for example, think I don't have enough time for you. This is what I live for, and this is what I live by. And communicating that very clearly was very important to me. But also having the other person understand that I want to spend a lot of time with them, that I will do anything in my power to spend as much time with them. But and to tell the other person that I listen to them. So if they are saying something like it, yes, I will spend time with you, and know that the days, communicated clearly that the days that I only spend time with my partner actually for me are my most precious days. So for example, I have a big company that I run. For me, big, or medium size.
Yeah. You can brag. It's fun.
Sure, thank you. So I have a company that I run. And it's my passion. I love this. I'm the first one to go, and I try to be the last one to leave the office every single day. At home, if my girlfriend's not home, I'll work. But I realize that I need the rest too. So I try to keep a very healthy balance between work and life. The one where my girlfriend's happy, the one where I'm happy in my relationship, but also the one where I get enough rest to work efficiently. So for example, after 5 p.m., I try to be done with work, and then it's girlfriend time. If she's not home, I might be on my laptop doing some work. Yeah. But for example, on a Saturday, it's Bay Day. That's what we have, which means me, my girlfriend, the dogs, and we can go for a walk. We go to the park, we go shopping, we go out for dinner, maybe we grab our boat, we go cruising a little through the canals. It's Bay Day. And that to me is very much my holy day. It's very refreshing. It recharges me and gives me new insights and makes me much more creative. And then I write all those things down and I'm ready to go again on Monday. Sunday is like my private to-do list day, and I work out. You know, maybe I got to do some
extra things.
Maybe I got to do some stuff at home, right? Personal development. So I find it very important to have a good balance. And anyone who says that you need to work 80 hours a week, don't listen to them. It's very unhealthy. You're not gonna, like, you're here to run a marathon, not to sprint.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is much better to very early on figure out how can you do as much work as possible in 1 week. And the key is in efficient work hours, not in quantity of work hours.
I'm very curious about the next question, because obviously the podcast is called The Quarter Life Crisis. Would you say you had a quarter life crisis?
100%. Yes, I had a quarter life crisis for sure.
What did it look like?
What did it look like? Depression and a burnout. That's what it looked like. I had everything you could imagine, from money to friends to a beautiful girlfriend to fame, you name it. And I was unhappy. And my quarter life crisis really was about rediscovering myself and figuring out, how can I be happy? And what does it mean to be happy? Because I was chasing this illusion of the perfect picture, and that's what happiness is. And I realized that's not what happiness is. So having to really discover myself again, that's what my quarter life crisis was all about. But it's definitely past me now, which I'm very happy about.
I'll ask about that further, but before I do that, one of the main reasons why I started this podcast is because I found myself, after graduating from my master, still clueless about what I wanted to do in life. And I'm curious whether or not you have any advice to people who are trying to figure out which path to take, how to do that.
Yeah, I was very lucky finding my passion and my purpose early on in life. So I'm very grateful for that. All I could say is, for you to find your passion, your purpose, and what you want to do, try a lot of things and see which one you really enjoy and see which one you can really find yourself in. The moment you start working on something or start doing something, and time flies by, and you get into the zone, hyper focused, and you think, once you're done, you think, oh, it's already 5 p.m. The moment you find that's when you've probably found your purpose, your passion, somewhere within that, what you were doing. So how do you find this? Just do a bunch of stuff. Write down a lot of things that you find fun and just start trying it. For example, you can apply for a volunteer work or a job or an internship somewhere, or just start trying something yourself and see how it works. I did a lot of internships as a kid. Every year, my school said you need to do one internship. So at first, I thought I wanted to become an architect because I love drawing buildings and houses, and my purpose was somewhere there, I thought. So I started doing an internship at an architectural firm. And I thought it took way too long, and I found that extremely boring. They said, oh, we start the drawings now. It takes 5-6 years before it's done. And I said, what are you talking about? I thought it was going to be done in 2 months, right? Or at least a year. Later on in life, did I realize that my passion for real estate's still there. But for example, I worked on my own project, my own house. And that was that took from start to finish about 2 years. And I thought that was one of the most enjoyable things that I've ever done. So there's definitely some purpose and passion over there too, which I haven't fully explored yet. But that internship...
What the 30s are for, no?
Exactly. That internship very much taught me that, okay, becoming an architect like how that architectural firm does it is not my thing. And then I did an internship at an internet company a year later. I realized it was way too boring, like the typical office work, super corporate. I thought, okay, well, if I want to do something, I want it to be more fun.
Yeah.
And for a few projects at school, I had to, sorry, there's a little fly here. I had to make some YouTube videos, or I had to make a video. And I started editing and making this video. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is it. And I put so much love and care and attention into it. I said, this is it. This is it. I find it so fun to make videos. And slowly I started making more and more and more and more and more videos. And just creating stuff, like even music. I did a little bit.
It's funny that you talk about that because, I was in music for... Yes. I was in music for a while as well, and it actually was one of the reasons that led to this whole podcast to begin with, because and maybe that was just me giving up too early, could be, but one of the things that I thought and lacked was this self-belief that I see other artists having, right? So obviously working in that for at least 6-7 years, making my own music, producing, etc., you see all these people believe in themselves, and it goes online, doesn't do great, and they're like, yeah, fine, on to the next one. I think that was maybe one of the issues that I still feel, because what you describe as far as being in that element and stuff, I totally have that when making music. I still have that when making music, but sort of the conversion point of, can I make my living from this? And also, do I rather want to keep this as a hobby?
Yeah. So that's all up to you, and whichever one you pick is the one that's going to happen, right? So if you say, I'm going to make this my job, say it. Are you going to make it your job or not? Is it going to be your hobby? What, you tell me.
This is my job.
This is your job.
This is my job,
right?
Yeah.
Are you going to be successful, mildly successful?
Yeah, of course.
Very successful.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it starts with saying it out loud and believing it, because if all your brain doesn't speak your language, you can, like, your brain doesn't understand thoughts in a way that, like, if you convince yourself in your mind, oh, I'm going to make this my living. No, you need to say it, because then you hear it and you throw it out there in the world, and then your brain can really start making the right moves. So a lovely exercise that I do is literally just saying how happy you are. I'm so fucking happy.
Yeah.
Right? I'm so happy that my business is super successful, that my career is super successful, that I can do all these fun things, that I can do what I love. And you can just say it to yourself at home, and you sound like a crazy lunatic if anyone else hears you. But you can also say it in interviews, and you can say it to people. And if you keep on repeating it, your brain is going to realize, hey, okay, this is what we're doing. Gotcha. I got the instructions. And that's when you slowly will start believing in yourself, and you're slowly going to start feeling good about it. So if you just keep on repeating it like a lunatic, become this delusional optimist, you will make it 100%. But whatever you do, don't cave in and be the person left at the hurdles, because I'm not going to be that one. I'm going to keep on running. I'm going to keep on running. How old are you right now?
26.
There you go. Perfect age too. We're still in our 20s. We're good. And really become that delusional optimist. Really start telling yourself, this podcast is going to be the biggest podcast in the world. This podcast is going to be the most fun podcast in the world. This is going to be it. This is it. This is your it moment. This is where your history books are written, right? And you are the only one.
You're my hype man now. I appreciate it.
But that's it. And for everyone listening to you, are the only one. No one else is going to help you. I'll have the inspirational words for you. And these are the instructions for how I'm literally telling you what is it that made me successful. It is this insane belief that you are the main character of your life, which you are, right? But that only means that you are your own superhero. No one else is going to do it for you. No one's going to do the hard work for you, because it's not worth it to them. The only person who this hard work will be worth it to is you yourself. So start giving it everything you got. Start believing in yourself and start telling yourself that you are doing it. So good start.
Appreciate that.
You got it.
Actually, before coming in here today, I wrote a little LinkedIn post, and I can prove it afterwards. Actually,
I believe you.
About me saying that I was struggling with imposter syndrome before this, right?
Because I got imposter syndrome. Okay, really. I've suffered from very bad imposter syndrome. Is that valid? Hell no. Doesn't make any sense. And that is just simply a mental barrier that a lot of founders and a lot of creatives and artists and athletes, they struggle with. But just realizing it is just your evil voice yelling at you in your head, and being the boss of that thought is essential here.
I go back to the YouTube story now in the part, or your quarter life crisis, in which you're trying to figure out, all this stuff.
Yeah.
You also mentioned, I was watching the Andy in the Auto interview.
Yeah, sure.
And he at some point asks you about money. And it was interesting. You had a comment about selling your car because it was too expensive, and you are Dutch after all. So and I'm pretty curious because I see a little bit of a contradiction, and I want to know your thoughts on it.
Hit me. A lot of people think they do, and then I explain it, and then it makes sense.
That's why I ask. No?
Hit me.
Obviously, you talk about, those things don't matter.
Yeah.
And yet some of the content that has been coming out since you pivoted from the gaming is very focused on financials.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Very simple answer. We are a data-driven company, and we were just looking at the data, and we just looked at what does the data say a lot of people click on and a lot of people see and want to see, and those were the videos that surfaced. So we made a decision to slowly appeal more to those viewers, and we tried that for a while. We very quickly realized that's not really our cup of tea, and then later on, like a year later, some people made some remarks and comments about it, thinking that that's what defines me as a person. But it was like, it's not that deep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just, we had an Excel sheet. Let's see what has the highest CTR with our fans and our subscribers. Oh, these type of videos. Let's make some videos more in line of that, which was like my house, my car, literally, my girlfriend. And then we made some videos about that. That was it. Right now, we're much more focused on making content that we thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
Rather than making content for the fans, we make content that we enjoy filming and we enjoy making.
It's almost going back to the roots, right? Because that's why they followed you to begin with.
Exactly. So through in my quarter life crisis, did I stumble upon being a people pleaser rather than being a Jordi pleaser. Right. So it's much more like that's it. Yeah. It's really not that deep.
I appreciate that. Though.
Yeah, had a lot of people ask it, and I'm like, "Well, are you kidding me? Like you come to that conclusion?"
Yeah, yeah. Because I think the video you're referencing, at least I watched that as well, and it got a lot of views. And he makes his own conclusions at the end, where I was like, I am curious to see what it is, and so I appreciate this clarifies it a lot.
Of course. The video we're talking about has a lot of it's entertainment, right? Some people think it's factual or it's a real documentary, but it's entertainment, and that's fine, and it should be allowed on the platform too. But there's a lot of factual, incorrect bits in it that really shape the story and make it go into this one direction. But I thought it was hilarious to see unfold, and I was I'm still very, I'm very happy, and I'm very honored that a video like that was made about me, and it got a lot of views.
Yeah.
Because imagine someone makes a video like that about you, and it doesn't get any views.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. Then he's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Fair. I was looking at your stats, and at this point you have 6.8 billion views.
That's a lot.
Does that figure do anything to you at all at this point anymore? Besides the obvious, that's a lot.
I didn't even know. Know what the number was on. No, like I have retired years ago.
Yeah.
I have set the Kwebbelkop that plays games every single day, 2 videos a day. Like I stopped doing that years ago.
Yeah.
I even made a video that says I quit.
I know,
right?
Yeah.
And then since then I've just been trying out a bunch of things, but more like full passion, not career anymore. Right. Yeah. My career, I'm developing more with my virtual influencers and other departments in my company, rather than me being the sole product. I don't want everything to revolve around me because it makes me very unhappy, because I can't rest, I can't stop. and I can't go on holidays. It's too much pressure. And I think it's a bad investment too, to build a company around one person, because if that person would be to pass away or have a burnout or get sick or just want to move on, the entire business collapses.
Fair enough. I have a relatively new segment on my show. You have seen the jar in front of you, in which I collected community questions.
Let's go.
So I'd like you to take one out of there, read out both the name and the question, obviously, and then give your thoughts on it.
All right. Let's not have the obvious one here. I'll grab this one on the side. Oh, are you trying to plant that question? Okay. Yelmer Benjamin says, what was a moment where you almost quit and what made you keep going? I think the earliest moment that almost made me quit, I have a few. I'll do an early moment and a later moment. One was I just hit 3,000 subscribers. 3,000. And I was standing at the elevator and, I was trying to film a video and the recording crashed. And I was pissed because I filmed the whole video and I was like, hour wasted. And I had to go for a walk because I was pissed. And I thought, okay, why don't I just quit? Because why? Let's just quit. And that's when I really was faced with the hurdle. I called myself. I said, this is where people quit. I get it. I see how this game works. So if I just keep going, I'll be fine. Yeah. And turns out I was right in a way. That was one situation. Another one was when I started a project with a friend. I had this vision of in the future, I think content creators will be virtual and they'll be powered by AI. I think us humans, it'll outperform humans in many, many, many different ways, just like computers would beat humans at chess, right? I think the same thing can happen with the creative jobs, especially influencers, entrepreneurs, even celebrities. So I'd started working on this vision and this dream. And one of my partners in crime decided to kind of backstab me. That's how it felt. And I'd invested north of $100,000 into it. I was in deep. I'd invested a lot of time into it and really structured my company to help work on it. And I thought, okay, you know what? Why don't I just give up on this dream right now? Because this is a major setback and it really screwed me over. And it really made me think back to that moment where I was at the elevator and I said, this is one of those hurdle moments. I just realized that the stakes are a little bit higher now. But at the end of the day, if you buy a house for yourself to live in, or if you buy a building for 100 people to live in, you pretty much go through the same process. It's the same piece of paper, documentation. It's very similar. So even though it might seem like the building is much bigger, for you to execute it, it's actually a very similar process. So
that's a nice analogy.
Yeah, and that really, I hope that answers your question, Benjamin.
It does. Yelmer.
Yeah.
But I actually want you to take one more because that one was already on yesterday's show.
All right.
So
let's grab this one.
Forgot to take it out.
Okay.
But I was intrigued, so.
I think that Nele.
Nele? Yeah.
Nele Org?
Yeah.
Org? What was the life-changing moment for you? What was a life-changing moment for me? A life-changing moment was when when my dad passed away. That was the biggest, one of the biggest moments in my life. Very much made me, look at life differently, see how fragile life is, and how short life is. Really made me question my purpose and what I want to do with my life. It took me a long period. That was one very big life-changing moment. I have a few, but that's I would say that's one a lot of people could probably relate with.
What was the realization, sort of?
The realization was that everyone's going to die and money can't save everything. Money can't save every problem. I had a lot of money back then. I couldn't save my dad. Even though I tried with the best doctors and flying him out wherever he had to go, it wouldn't work. So inevitably, we're all going to die. And that realization was very tough to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow. And I thought, okay, you know what? If at the end of the day we're all going to die, what the heck do I want to do with my time? I'm here for probably 80 years, hopefully a lot more. Who knows? It means that from start to finish, I have that much time. I only got like 60 years left. Cool. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Right?
Well, on the basis of that, then there's a question that I've asked a few times now as well. If you have 10 years left, what would you do?
What would I do? Exactly. Right? So here's my thought process there. If I would be to die tomorrow or today, would I be happy? And I want to get to a point where I would feel like I'd lived the life that I want to live and achieved everything that I want to achieve. So I said, okay, well, what if I leave a legacy behind? Okay, would I then be happy? I said no, because whatever I leave behind is not going to matter. You know why it wouldn't matter?
Well,
because when you stop perceiving time, you're instantly skipped to the end of time. There is probably an end of time or a heat death of the universe, which means that whatever you achieved in your life doesn't matter. Because it's gone anyways. At the end, yeah, sure, you leave some stuff for some people behind. That's cool and all, but they're going to die too. You know, whatever they live, they're going to die too. And you just keep on going. Eventually, everyone's going to die. So it doesn't matter. So I thought, okay, well, if whatever we do in the physical world is not going to matter, you know, you build a building, oh, don't worry, it's going to be demolished anyways in the future, right? The planet's going to be swallowed by the sun anyways, right? Doesn't matter. There's one thing that does matter, and that is the journey towards death, the perception of reality and this experience that we live in that we call consciousness. So I want to make sure that I live the most fun life until I die, because I'm not going to have those memories, but I'm going to have lived through those memories and I'm going to have enjoyed those memories. And that's not going to change. So what does that mean? For me, that means fulfilling your purpose, because that's what the ultimate feeling of happiness resides in.
Yeah.
That's what my dad's passing really made me realize.
Well, I guess thank you to him then in this case, right?
And that's also a part of reframing, like turning such a tough event into such a beautiful event. You know, the biggest challenges you overcome often have the biggest rewards.
Yeah. I have arrived at my last question. And that question is, what does the future hold for Jordi?
What does the future hold for me? Well, I'm going to be doing a bunch of more stuff that I'm doing already. For the past few years, we've been investing a lot of time, energy, and money into developing an artificial, an AI and machine learning powered influencer. And recently, we've been seeing extreme progress there within the company. So in the future, you can expect a lot more of that. A video game is on the way too, which has been in development for 3 years now, 3.5 years. Those two are the most exciting things I'm working on, and you're gonna definitely.
About personally?
I was just gonna say you're gonna see a smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna see me smile. You're gonna see me enjoy doing this no matter what until the day I die, and even then, I'm gonna go out with a smile.
I think your work ethic is extremely inspiring. I think you are unique in that sense. I appreciate you for taking the time to talk to me today, and I don't doubt that you'll inspire a whole bunch more people. So thank you.
Thank you too, and I'm super curious to see all the comments and responses on the podcast. Hopefully I'm able to inspire some people.
Hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.